All right, so in today's video, I'm going to talk about tools, both new tools, some brand new, and tools that are really old, but they're new to me. So this should be a no-brainer for anybody that is a woodworker. Stay tuned. I think you'll enjoy the video. All right, so if you're new to this channel, I thought I'd just take a moment and introduce myself. My name is Scott Earl Smith. I use my middle name Earl because there's a lot of Smiths in the world, but also my father's name is Earl, and I'm very proud of him, and he's a prince of a man, and he will appear in this video at some point. Now, the other thing I want you to know is I was a police officer for 30 years. In Ontario, Canada, rolling around in the mud, the blood, and the beer. And if you're a police officer or a soldier, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, I mentioned I've been a police officer for 30 years, but I started right out of high school as a carpentry apprentice and moved into policing, and I kept my carpentry skills up and continued growing in the carpentry. And then once I retired, I started my own business called Finishing Touch Carpentry. The intro stuff, let's just dive in. The first tool I want to talk about is one I bought this summer. And if you follow this channel, you know I use a lot of Festool stuff. I'm not sponsored by Festool or anybody else. Just thought I'd let you know. But this Festool CXS-18 is a great drill for my work as a stair and railing installer. It's got a number of different heads, a 90-degree head, and some other options you can use for installing. And it's quite a powerful little drill. I like the compactness. This is the first one, first drill I bought in the C configuration. So it has a protector in front of your hands. Not sure if that's ideal or not, but I thought I'd try it. And so far this drill has been really good. I was able to try out the CXS-12 as well, which is a 12-volt battery. And before I dropped the money on the CXS-18, but I felt that I already had batteries for my other drills that are 18 volts. So to me, it made more sense for a slightly bigger drill to buy the CXS-18. And here's another thing that I think is really impressive. I love how Festool does this kind of stuff. I bought this level that fits right into the handle on this sustainer, and once I saw that this tool was available, I thought, oh, I gotta have it. It's so handy. You know, I usually carry this drill in my truck, and I always have a level with me. So the next new tool I want to talk about is this brand new Leigh-Nielsen rabbet block plane. Now I decided to buy a brand new one because I don't have a good high quality block plane, and rather than just getting a regular block plane, I decided to get the rabbet block plane so that when I'm planing on the edge of a lap newel post or a tenon, I can get right up to the edge. And yeah, it's an expensive tool, but I'm really impressed so far. Have not used it yet, but I've seen a couple of YouTube people using the Leigh-Nielsen rabbet block plane, including Andy Rawls, who I really respect. And I thought, man, that is a good purchase, and it'll be with me for the rest of my days, I'm sure. Isn't this nice and shiny? And here are some FastCap tools. I use a lot of FastCap stuff. They don't sponsor me per se, but they've helped me out a lot with tools in their lineup, and they're just really dedicated to serving tradespeople. And if you don't have any FastCap stuff, you need to get on board because they're really committed to making great tools at reasonable prices for tradespeople. This is an edging sander. Troxel knee pads. I did a review on these. Check them out. Best knee pad that I've found for my kind of work. All right, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is this Stanley 5.5 that I bought earlier in the year because I was building some stairs and I was working on some custom stair treads, and I didn't have a high quality, bigger hand plane. This is a 5.5, recommended by a lot of hand tool workers. And I bought this one, cleaned it up, sharpened it really good. And I bought it from a guy that lives in my hometown, Thunder Bay here. His name is Jason Antala. And he's actually a dealer in old tools, so that worked out really good. I was able to pick that up from him. Also, this spoke shave, again, I didn't own a spoke shave, and I purchased that as well. This number 5, it's a Stanley Bailey number 5, is actually belongs to my son. It had a broken handle, and Jason actually had a new handle in stock, or a new used handle, and I bought that from him. All right, so moving right along here, this is a Stanley number 7. Again, it's got the Bailey name on it, and you can, let me know in the comments what that all means. I'm not quite sure what the difference is, but this number 7 I bought, and in fact, all these other tools here, these hand tools, I bought from a friend of mine, and it's a bit of a story, and I hope you're patient enough to let me explain it. I got a call last January, so almost a year ago, and it's right now it's January 25. Got a call last year around January 24 from a buddy of mine who did a lot of flooring work, and he also did railings, and his name is Kevin Girardin. And he gave me a call and said, hey, I'm cleaning out my shop and I found some zip bolts, and I wondered if you needed any zip bolts. And I said, well, what's up? You not doing any more work? And he says, well, and I could tell his voice was kind of weak and gravelly. And Kevin says to me, well, I've got stage 4 inoperable cancer. What a bomb that was to hear. So Kevin and I are friends. We bounce jobs back and forth to each other. I would slide more flooring heavy jobs towards him, and the real big railing stuff he would often shoot towards me, and certainly the stair stuff. So anyway, we were friends. We were good friends, I would say. We didn't spend a tremendous amount of time with each other. We were both busy with our businesses and our family, but we had some things in common. We had a similar Christian faith that we shared and we talked about. Both very committed to our families, and both enjoyed woodwork. We decided to meet on a weekly basis, and just I would do as best I could to listen to what he had to say about his illness and the whole process, or whatever you want to call it, downward spiral of cancer. So we would meet each week, and of course we would often talk about tools, and he did give me some tools along the way, but for the most part I purchased most of these tools from him because nobody in his family was interested in carrying on with woodwork, to a greater degree at least. And he needed some lunch money because he was taking his son and his daughter and his wife for regular coffees and lunches and times where they could spend with each other. Now, Kevin decided not to undergo chemo and radiation and those sorts of things because it was terminal, and it was inoperable, and there was nothing they could do. So, I felt it was really important for me to just be there as a friend. And he did pass away on September 20th, and I had the honor of reading some scriptures at his funeral. And I'm still keep in touch with his wife, Susan. So, yeah, so that's a bit of a, bittersweet kind of situation where I was able to get some of Kevin's tools and then put them to work and keep his memory alive. All right, so one of the more stellar gifts that I got from Kevin is this brace and bit, and it's got a bunch of brass with some dark hardwood inlays here, and it says here that it's made by James Howarth Metallic Frame Brace, or that's what it is, I guess. Broome, Springfield in Sheffield, England. So it's made in the UK. And man, this is just a cool little tool. Got a bunch of bits with it. So that is something I probably won't really, I'll try it out, but I won't really use it too heavily. This, I've got two rulers like this, and I've actually added this to my workflow because sometimes it's really handy to be able to measure things without using a tape measure. And it's something you see a lot of the UK carpenters use these measuring sticks. Back last winter, I bought a bunch of these Narex Czech Republic made paring chisels from Kevin. Never been used. You can see they're still in the package, and I used them on a contoured railing that I had to do a bunch of work shaping. So I was able to pick up these chisels, and that's been a really good purchase. Also, a couple of little shaper type tools, again, that I used on that contoured railing job, and I'll put a link to that video if you want to check it out. It's a pretty interesting little project, and I got to use these little things. A marking gauge, it's a Veritas marking gauge, and I'm going to start incorporating that more into my work because I can make more accurate marks on newel posts, for example, for putting notches in them and that sort of thing. I've done some dovetails, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes, but this is a Veritas saw for cutting dovetails. I did cut my very first dovetail joint in a couple of pieces of cedar, and it looks really frightening, but you got to start somewhere, right? That's not my thing. I'm more of a power tool guy, so all this stuff is really exciting and new to me because I just haven't even thought about using a lot of hand tools a lot of times, but there is a place for it. Now this bad boy here was something that Kevin's grandfather had, and it's just a really big slick, as you can see. There may be an opportunity for me to use this slick on some timber framing I want to do out at my resort that I'm restoring. And obviously this has got to be restored itself. It needs some tender loving care, and I'll probably do a little video on that. And these two big chisels also I picked up from Kevin, and I'll tell you what, this one here I got really sharp, and man, is it ever handy for trimming out all sorts of things. You'd be surprised how much use you can get out of a big chisel. And speaking of chisels, I did pick up some diamond stones from him, and I've been practicing. I made myself a little jig to hold those, and that's just been a lot of fun. All right, so look what the cat dragged in. This is Constable Timothy Smith, my son. He's actually my cabinet maker apprentice, and he's quite a good man to work with, and you don't want to mess with this guy either. But anyway, he's also a good cameraman, and he's been doing a bit of camera work for me just now. So yeah, just thought I'd take a minute and introduce him. I also acquired these clamps from Kevin. They're originally brought over to Canada from Ireland, and these are just really cool. And so if you know any information or history on these types of clamps, drop me a comment. I'd be interested to hear. The last thing I want to talk about is this Irwin Record vise that I got from Kevin as well. And this was actually a gift, and these things are really desirable and not many around. This is a number 52.5, made in England, Irwin Record, and I just have to figure out where I'm going to install it. And you know, give me some input on that. This vise here actually came from my son-in-law on the house that he bought. It's actually a Canadian-made vise, and it doesn't have the quick clamp capability that like the Irwin Record. This one here is another vise that's a knockoff, and I'll probably sell that to somebody. Anyway, the next thing I want to talk about is this purchase I made right at the end of the year, and it's literally just come out of the box. What it is a Leigh D4R Pro dovetail jig. So this whole system, like I say, I've just unboxed it. And what I want to do is I want to start doing some more fancier work, some furniture stuff, some dovetail drawers, and I'm gonna probably make a bed with some dovetail drawers in it. And yeah, I've got some interesting content coming this year, so hang in there. And it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be not just a steady diet of stair and railing stuff, but I'm going to get into some other things. I want to transition to do more furniture. I'm going to do shortly a how to make a round tabletop, and that should be an interesting video. So hey, thanks for watching, and hit that like button, subscribe, and if you got any comments, please let me know. That helps the algorithm. And take care of yourself and enjoy woodwork this year. All right, so this is the new Leigh D4R Pro 24 dovetail jig, and Dad doesn't know it yet, but he bought me one for Christmas. Okay, test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, we're going to show you what this new dovetail jig is all about.
Good.